Hello, Coolman229 here with another Topic of the Week video. This week we'll be starting our spoopy themes. And this month's theme is Legend of Korra. To me, one of the scariest things imaginable. Anyone who follows me on my blog knows that I don't like Legend of Korra. I've been criticizing it since the book 1 finale. What was it? Like 3 years ago. Whew, time flies. In fact, I started my blog on Tumblr specifically to follow criticism blogs of Legend of Korra. I've actually been sitting on a lot of topics from Legend of Korra, but I've been kind of saving them because I didn't want to just blow all the, do a whole bunch of Legend of Korra topics, because I have 8 topics for Legend of Korra, at least. I haven't exactly counted. I have a ton. I could literally have just done nothing but Legend of Korra topics up to this point. But I wanted to save them because I wanted to have a little variety with the topic videos. Well, without further ado, let me get to this topic. This one was submitted by its-an-anagram-inside-an-acronym. And their topic was, kind of long, in Legend of Korra, had it been planned to be a multi-season show, do you think Amon had good enough potential to be the sole villain of Korra, as Ozai was for Avatar: The Last Airbender? Were his goals and motivations strong enough, and was his overall personality established well enough to have lasted longer than a single season in your opinion? If not Amon, Kuvira. Were any of the villains of Korra? I love this question. I've actually been thinking about this for a while. One of the things that pissed me off is that Amon is just killed off at the end of book 1, and it's just like, alright, problem solved. There's no equalist revolution anymore. And it's like, really? Amon is such a fascinating villain. He is the best villain of Legend of Korra. And you can definitely tell that Brian and Mike worked the longest on book 1. We know they had several years to work on book 1, and it shows. It's the best season of A Legend of Korra, and it's the only one I would ever consider rewatching at all. I mean, it does suck, and the writing goes haywire because of the stupid Makora love triangle thing that was shoved in. But the plot overall was actually really good, and Amon is such a good villain. One of the main things that makes Amon such a great villain is that he's both a threat on it's not global, but he's a wide scale, he's a big scale villain and a small scale villain. He can get personal and public at the same time. You see, this is Azula and Ozai were very much on the opposite ends of the spectrum. Ozai was the big threat. He was the guy who was going to scorch the earth. Then you had Azula, who wasn't going to do that, but she was going to come in and try to kill you. Amon basically merges these. He has the personality. I really do think he could have lasted more than one season, especially as a big mastermind. He's portrayed as a mastermind, and he's a genius. In fact, I was watching this one review of book 1, and this one guy was saying that one of his favorite things of episode 10 was the fact that Amon he had all this great strategy of taking over Republic City, and he liked that. I do like that too. Honestly, I would not... If we were going on a multi-season, Amon would not have just taken over Republic City. There needs to be build-up. It's not like you would have Ozai jump in the Siege of the North and into book 1 and be like, ha ha ha. It kind of blows the build-up. And the build-up that Ozai had over the 3 seasons up until the final confrontation between Aang and Ozai in the finale. Amon, and granted, I also have to change Amon from being a bender, because that was dumb anyway. Well, I mean, personally, I would have made Amon a regular non-bender who got energy bending through Ko, the face stealer, to get revenge in the Avatar, because connecting it to Avatar: The Last Airbender. Please. I think he could have served very much like a David Xanatos type villain, or like in Spectacular Spider-Man, what Norman Osborn was, this mastermind. And I love those type of villains. It's one of the reasons why I love Amon so much is that I love these mastermind type villains. These villains that aren't easily defeated because they have a Xanatos gambit. They know, like, okay, you just beat them, but while you were distracted, we just accomplished another goal, so bye. And it's like, that's the kind of villain Amon is. And he's smart, and he's terrifying. He can manipulate Korra by just destroying her confidence, and it's great. And one of the things that Amon is great at is being a complete foil for Korra. Well, I mean, the show never really did this, but I always kind of thought that if Amon had energy bending, he would have been more spiritual than Korra. Having Amon be both a spiritual and a political opponent, rather than just a thug that Korra needs to fight, provides Korra with a challenge that she needs, that she can't just punch this problem away. She goes to a bunch of thugs, she water bends them, fire bends, earth bends, throws them into a building. Yeah, problem solved. You can't do that with Amon, because he's a better fighter than her. He can debend her almost at will, and he's smart. And I mean, setting him up as, it's always great in a story to set up your villain as a foil to your hero. I don't really think any of the only two good villains in Legend of Korra were Amon and Kuvira. I've had plenty of different ideas for how you could do a multi-season show for Legend of Korra. One of them, one plan I had involved Amon living through book one, not having the big climactic end of book one, but basically having him formulate new plans afterwards. Another one has him being captured, and then Kuvira, and basically, one idea I had was that I think I got this in an Ask, and I explained this, is that you introduce Kuvira in book 2. And she's helpful. She stops whatever threat. Like, I wouldn't do Unalak. Maybe do Unalak, but completely change his character. He's not Korra's uncle, and Korra's not related to Water Tribe royalty, and and he's not just this completely bafflingly blank villain who just does evil things. But you have these villains, and then you have Kuvira, helping out book 1 or book 2, maybe help out into book 1, help out in book 2. Some crazy stuff goes down in book 3, and she ends up going on have crap happen to her throughout books 2 and 3, and have her basically snap in book 4 and become a tyrant. So basically, you get to build up Kuvira as a villain. And you get to see her start of darkness as well throughout the show. I actually think that would have been an interesting idea, and it definitely would have been... It might have been actually an interesting way to parallel Azula, and see that Azula, how Azula was broken in book 3. Do that with over 3 seasons with Kuvira. And honestly, granted, when I write stuff, I always like having everything planned out. And I like having, if I'm going to have an expansive story, I need everything planned out. I need to know what's going on throughout the story, so that I have a picture in my head of what's going on and where it's going. Obviously, Bright didn't do that, which is why Legend of Korra was written to have 4 individual stories that have almost nothing to do with each other, because it definitely takes a lot more time and effort to piece together a story. One of the biggest problems with Legend of Korra is that they had 4 main villains, and then none of them were connected to each other at all. In The Last Airbender, you had Zhao, and Zhao was Zhao. You had Zhao, and he was sort of the main villain of book 1, along with Zuko. Then Azula comes in book 2, and she establishes herself as the main villain of book 2. And then that leads into Ozai being the main villain of book 3 and overall the show. Legend of Korra never did that, and it baffles me why they... honestly, I don't even know why you would want to have to come up with 4 entirely separate villains that have nothing to do with each other. it's boring, to be honest. There's no build up, and that's definitely another big problem that Legend of Korra had. There's no build up, especially with the villains. So if I would have Amon, like, I would love to have Amon be a major villain, and I do think he had so much potential. This show overall had so much potential, but Amon, like, everything about Amon worked, and he was voiced by Steve Bloom. I mean, you really can't. I mean, everything. Amon had everything going for him, and then Korra was more important. His personality, though, yeah, it was. I like his personality. Honestly, I like how he had some sense of honor. Like, it wasn't like real honor. Like, he still ambushed Korra in their one-on-one fight on Avatar Aang Memorial Island. But he still let her live. He let her live for the sole sake of, I'm not going to turn you into a martyr. And it's just like, ugh. He's a chilling villain. Like, he's so powerful, but he has this plan. That's one reason why no one's dead yet. And it's just like, oh my gosh. Expand, like, having a villain like that. He could have been like an Albert Wesker. I mean, for those of you who aren't familiar with Albert Wesker of the Resident Evil series, Albert Wesker is definitely the smart villain. Well, until he was completely derailed into an idiot in Resident Evil 5, but I don't accept anything past Resident Evil 4 as canon. Albert Wesker was always a really smart villain. In the very first game, he was an idiot. And then they basically retconned that to where his death was planned so that he would gain superpowers. And he has the Resident Evil canon is a little wonky. I won't explain the whole thing to you. But one thing that I always liked about Wesker is that when crap went down, he ran away. Like in Code Veronica, he has a bunch of like steel pipes just fall on him, and he's injured. And of course he'll heal, but he can't sit there and win a fight with Chris. So he just leaves, and it's just like, he who fights and runs away lives to fight another day. And then in Resident Evil 4, he wasn't even involved in the plot of that. He was just watching, and he had a couple agents in there just kind of watching. He sat there watching from satellite views of what was going on. Because he knew that there's something going on. He wanted to know what was going on. And that's the kind of villain Amon could have been. Amon could have been this overarching villain, finally defeat. Because I mean, his power. This is one of the things that Legend of Korra really screwed up. It had too much big things at the beginning. You have the season 1 has a villain who can steal bending. Season 2 had a freaking giant Godzilla demon monster, Unavatu. And then after that, there's a tyrant and the Scooby Gang. It's like, I mean, Amon could have been such a great villain. And I would have loved to have 4 seasons build up to a climactic fight with Amon. Or with Kuvira. As long as it was built up, I would have loved to have either of them. Be great. And honestly, one thing I never watched Book 4. I stopped in Book 3 because I just could not handle it. But I would have loved to see Kuvira built up. I mean, from what I've seen of Kuvira, she's smart, she's strong, she's basically like Amon. She's a political opponent because she knows how to work the political stuff, and she's not stupid. The only thing that was stupid is the fact that everyone kept treating her as a pure villain when she wasn't. But that's getting into Book 4 too much. And both Amon and Kuvira had insane potential to be great villains. Book 4 could have... If Book 4 actually tried to do something good, it could have ended Korra on a high note. I'm going to admit that as bad as books 2, 3, and 4 were, if they had made an effort in Book 4, they could have actually in some ways redeemed this in my eyes, but they didn't. And we ended up with a giant mech. Fun. Yeah, but especially if Kuvira was going to become... I would have liked there to be some transition from Amon. Maybe have like 2 seasons where Amon is a major villain. And then you have Kuvira slowly crumbling. And then maybe have a team up with them, Amon and Kuvira. Gosh, that would have been terrifying. Whew. But alas, the potential was lost. So yes, had Legend of Korra been a multi-season show, Amon could have lasted 4 seasons. Especially since they're 4, 12, 13 episode seasons. They're not ridiculously long. And honestly, if he was going to be longer seasons, this would have given us a lot more time to slowly learn more about him. Learning more his backstory in a huge, 10-minute info dump from Tarlok in this stupid story time segment. That was so dumb. I mean, we learned about Ozai. We didn't learn specifics, but over the course of 3 seasons, we did learn more about him. We learned about Azula. We learned about Zuko. We learned about Ursa. We learned their story, and we got little tidbits here and there that we were able to piece together what life was like and what they were like before and after the show, or before the show started. That's what we should have gotten with Amon, and maybe Kuvira, especially if Kuvira lost people she cared about and ended up becoming evil. Giving us time, making a villain overarching allows you to learn more about them. It's like in Resident Evil. Eventually, you find out that because it's established that Amon, what am I saying? Wesker actually worked with the character William Birkin. And they were friends, and you find out the story about how he got the super serum from Birkin, and we learn little pieces of it, just learning more about a villain as a show goes on is such a great thing. As long as you don't play your cards too soon, like what Book 1 did, and as long as you don't keep them too much until the end, which again Book 1 did by having Amon's and Tarlok's backstory dumped on us in one info dump in the second to last episode. You have to know how to pace yourself. And of course, if you have 4 seasons, you need to be able to pace yourself. Which Bright didn't know how to do with Legend of Korra. Because honestly, there's so many directions. I would not have cared if it was Amon or Kuvira who ended up being the main overarching villain. As long as it was either them, and they were well handled. Legend of Korra, if I was personally doing this, I wouldn't have gone past 1 season. If I was in complete control, I wouldn't have gone past 1 season. But if I had to, I definitely, the approach to a single season and approach to 4 seasons, you need to do very differently. And the problem with that is that they basically took the single season approach and did it 4 times. So you end up with a completely fractured show. And Kuvira doesn't even... Kuvira is great, but she feels like she belongs in a bigger story than what we got. Yeah, I think that answered... I think that pretty much covered all of it, because goals and motivations. Yeah, Amon's goal to de-bend the world and rid the world of bending is crazy and kind of stupid, but it's terrifying because he actually has an individual ability to do it. Would he have accomplished this? Probably no. But the fact that he ended up having a ton of power and a ton of support makes him terrifying. Kuvira's motivations were basically, I want to keep things stable, and everyone's like, if you, Kuvira, we want to put Prince Wu on here, in charge. No. Well, you're evil, Kuvira. Attack Kuvira. I like the idea of Kuvira's desire for stability to turn her into a tyrant. I like that idea, and I like that sort of degradation of her motivations, or her, sanity. It's interesting. It's kind of like what happened with Azula. I would have loved to have another Azula-type villain. But, alas, all that potential was wasted. So yeah, I think I've answered this. I think I answered all of it. I mean, this is long. I love these types of topics that are very detailed. It makes them really easy to talk about. But yeah. All right. So thank you. It's an anagram inside an acronym for giving me another great topic. So if you want to submit a topic, just if you're on YouTube, just put a topic in the comment below. Or if you're on Tumblr, then just send me an ask. Make sure to put topic : and then give me a topic. Do you want it to be specific? Something like this that's specifically targeting certain things that you want me to talk about instead of just general things. As always, remember I have a rule section. Just that'll be posted, below the video. Just make sure if you don't already know it, just check the rules when submitting a topic. So, thank you for watching.